Hi guys, you're tuning into Jae2alk, a faith-based podcast featuring Jesus and Janae. I'm your host Janae, and here I talk about my life and how Jesus has and is currently helping me through it. One important thing, here we listen and we do not judge, but if you choose to judge, that is between you and the big G-O-D. Okay, so today's episode is about death and grief. I'm going to be speaking about the death of my mother, how I grieved her death, and how my grieving process led me closer to be with God. Before I begin the episode, I'm going to start off with a card game called Let's Get Deep. It has a icebreaker card, a deep card, and a deeper card, and basically it's just to gain more intel on how I think and a little bit more about me, like not important things. The icebreaker card reads, okay, this is a couples game, so the icebreaker card reads, shower in the morning or at night. I shower in the nighttime, but I'll shower in the morning if I have to go somewhere. The deep card says, which family member of yours do you think I would... This is a couples game, so some of the cards are couple related. The deep card says, how much time do you spend with your family? I live with my siblings, and we spend a lot of time together. We always have. And then the deeper card says, well, my entire family besides my siblings, not that often, but my siblings every day. The deeper card says, during conflict, do you prefer to talk things out right away, or do you prefer to take time to calm down? I prefer to take time to calm down, because if I don't, I feel like I might, I'm at the point now where I'm better at communication, so things don't really bother me as much. However, if I was actually really upset, I would probably need time to myself so that I didn't say something I regret, because I haven't been in conflict in a long time, so that's why I'm answering like this. I would like to think that I'm healed and that I wouldn't respond the same way I used to, but I haven't been in conflict in a long time, and I do know that before I had all this time by myself, this is the first time I've ever been I never really argued with people who weren't a partner of mine. So this is the first time I've been single in a really long time, for how long I've been single, and I don't know, I just find so much peace now. So if I was in a relationship, I would like to think that I wouldn't react the same way I used to, but I'm a person who, I used to hurt people with my words. So that I wouldn't say something I would regret, I would prefer to have time by myself. Yeah. Now for my favorite segment of the day, I have quote of the day on the way. And quote of the day, I basically give a quote from a human and a quote, well, not a quote, a verse from the Bible. And I do a takeaway message. So the quote reads, grief can be a burden, but also an anchor. You get used to the weight, how it holds you in place. That's by Sarah Desson, The Truth About Forever. The Bible verse reads, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. That's Psalms 34:18. My takeaway message would be that for me, going through grief was really hard. It was a burden because it was the most hurtful thing I've gone through in my life. My mom was the first person that I've ever lost. So it was really hard to go through that grieving process because I've never had to grieve before. I've grieved relationships, but it wasn't the same. So, it was the first thing that I had to actually really grieve. And so it was hard, but it was also the thing that held me in place, that kept me going, and it's still the same thing that keeps me going when I want to give up. But I feel when it comes to the Lord being close to the brokenhearted, he used my grieving process to kind of pull me closer to him. And I would say that was the up, that was the positive that I could take out of the horrible situation, I would say. But I would say that grief definitely can be an anchor, because there are so many times where I just want to give up in like general, but because I can't like give my mom the life that I wanted to give her while she was alive, I kind of just want to do it for her now that she's not, like, because I feel like my mom was like, I'm going to talk about this, but I feel like my mom was like, you know, like put on earth, and all she did was really take care of me and my siblings. So because I can't provide her the life that I wanted to while she was alive, she holds me place here, and I know that she's watching over me, and I know that she's in a better place. So it's what keeps me going while I'm going through whatever I'm going through. So now I'm going to move on to another card game. It's called Talking Points. It's the Christian version, and there's 4 different cards, 4 different colored cards. We're going to start off with red, which is Bible truths. The question reads, can we stop sinning by ourselves? No, we cannot stop sinning by ourselves. You can only stop sinning with the help of God, which is why God tells us to call on him. That's why when like people are like, oh, like I have to stop smoking before I talk to God, or I have to like stop drinking before I start talking to God, it's like, no, you don't, because you're gonna want to do those things after you build a relationship. Like when I started to get closer to God, which I'm going to talk about, I was like doing everything under the sun, but he started to transform me the closer that we got. The answer says no, only the Holy Spirit can give us the ability to stop sinning. Yeah. The green card is world around us, and it reads, why do you think there is so much suffering in the world? Personally, I think that there's so much suffering in the world because of free will and because of sin. Everything happens for a reason, and everything affects everything. So because there's free will, God doesn't step in for every situation. I feel like people want God to like be like this superhero in the sky, and it's like when good things are happening, it's like, God, let the good things happen, but when bad things are happening, it's like, God, where are you? I thought that you're God. And it's like, that's not how it works. God gave us free will, and it wouldn't be fair of God to like free will. It would be wrong for God to step in when something bad was happening every single time something bad was happening, because then he would be manipulating the effects of whatever that bad thing would have caused. So sometimes I wouldn't say that bad things happen because of God, because they don't. They happen because of sin. Sickness is in the world because of sin. Disasters are in the world because of sin. Bad political leaders are in the world because of free will. Like everything is a product of sin and free will. So it would be wrong for God to step in every single time someone got sick, every single time there was a natural disaster, every single time something bad was to happen, every single time a plane was to crash. Like it would just be wrong for God to step in every single situation, because then he'd be manipulating what happens after that. Like he would be manipulating everything, and that's not free will. You can't just want free will when it affects you positively, but when it affects the world negatively, then we're like, God, I thought you were a good God. Like it just doesn't work like that. So yeah, that's why I would say there's so much suffering because of free will and because of sin. But God is so good that he can make positive out of negative situations. So say someone has a sickness, and someone is looking at God and they're like, why would you allow this good person to get sick? But the good person heals. It's a testimony of how good God is, because though you got sick, which was not God's doing, he healed you, which was God's doing, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's just my point of view. The blue card is personal beliefs, and it says, what 3 questions would you most likely ask God? Period. I would ask God, am I making you proud? I would ask God, these are 3 questions. I feel like the 3 questions I would actually ask God, I wouldn't say here, because like I don't want you guys to know my questions, but these are 3 questions that are like 3 more questions I would ask. So, am I making you proud? Do you know me by name? And also, what could I be doing better? I feel like those are 3 questions I would ask. No, I would ask him if my mom is in heaven. I've asked him that before. I feel like he told me yes, but like I want to hear out his mouth. So I would say, am I making you proud? Is my mom in heaven? And do you know me by name? That's what I would say. But I know he definitely knows me by name because, yeah. And then the last question is your faith journey, and it's yellow, and it says, has your faith impacted your view of money, wealth, or worldly goods? Yeah. Personally, I don't really care about money. I only care about money because you need money in the world. That's the only reason why I would say I care about money, but I'm not really like a materialistic person. If or when I'm rich, like I'm not gonna be buying like, I don't know, like designer clothes and stuff. Like I never really cared about that. Do I want designer bags and shoes? Yeah, but like clothes, like that's not really my thing. But yeah, I guess I just feel like when people get money, like they just turn so nasty. And for me personally, I want money to travel. I want money to help the people around me. And I know people say that, but like I'm genuine with it. I really don't care about money. And if you know me, I will literally give you my last. Like I just don't care about money. I don't know. Like it just doesn't move me. I don't know. I don't care about it. So yeah, I would say that my faith, I guess, like it allows me to really see people like really will do anything for money, which is like so crazy because like earth is not the end. Like even if you are rich on earth or like you have these designer clothes and all this, like earth doesn't like, it's not where you end. Like when you die, like that's where like life really ends. Like because I believe in heaven and hell. So I mean, I'm not about to like be so headstrong on money and materialistic things when there's so much more to like life. Like yeah, I guess that's my view on it. I never really cared about money, but now I really don't care about money. And so now we're going to move on to the death portion of the podcast episode. I'm going to start off with my relationship with my mother. So to start off, I'm going to say that we're 21 years apart. She had me at 21. Ironically, she passed away when I was 21, which is so weird. But me and my mom were really similar. And we were really close. Like similar as in like, I would say like kind of like personalities maybe. But also, I don't know, like I was hairy like her. Like we're both hairy. That's like so random. But yeah. There's like this dot, like I don't know what it's called, but like the dot on my ear, she had that too on the same ear. There was other stuff I can't think about right now. But yeah, I told her everything. For instance, when I lost my virginity, I told her like the day after, I think. I was so scared to sit her down, but yeah, I told her, and everybody was like, you told your mom that? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, why? And I'm like, because like, I don't know. I wasn't really scared to tell her anything. I was scared to tell her that, but not because I thought that she was gonna like do something, but I don't know, like that's just scary. But she wasn't necessarily mad. She just said she was disappointed, and she took me to Planned Parenthood like a few days after. But like from childhood, I was like a mommy's girl. I would say I'm still a mommy's girl, but like up until her passing, I was still a mommy's girl. I've always been so scared to like lose her or be without her. When she would work a lot. I grew up in a household with my siblings, my mom and my dad up until 5th grade. Then 5th grade, my dad moved out. And then, but like even when we all lived together, like he was barely home. This is not a dad episode, so we're not going to get too much into that, but he was barely home. But like when he was home, we would all like want to be with my mom, and he would like kick us out and go tell us to read a book or something. But like, yeah, we just always wanted to be around her. And she took us to the park a lot because he would have her car quite often. So she would take us to the park, like every day in the summertime, even in the spring. She came to like all like our school events. like student of the month, everything like that. If I'm looking around, I'm probably disassociating and I'm trying to like think. So but yeah, like she came to like all our school events and stuff. She would take me and my siblings and my cousins to lake compounds every year. I don't know if that's just a Connecticut thing. Like, is lake compounds just in Connecticut? I think so. It's like a mini Six Flags, if you don't know what that is. But she took us there every single year. Even though she couldn't get on rides because she had autoimmune disorder called multiple sclerosis. So, like, it affected her body. And she had, like, bad heat flashes. So she really couldn't get on any rides. But she would like she was so selfless when it came to us, like her kids. But she was like, I don't know, she was really stubborn, so she never really said like when she was in pain because of the disorder. She was like in pain a lot. She would get bad headaches or really bad pains in her body, and she would pretend like she was like totally fine even when she was in bad pain. She was really strong but really stubborn. But like I was like always there to help her. I'm not gonna lie, I did make fun of her sometimes with the disorder. It's not funny, but like I didn't do it in like a malicious way. Like I was just a stupid kid. But like looking back now, like even though I was joking, even though she would like laugh and stuff, it just wasn't funny. So but yeah, I would still be the sibling to like help her though. Even though I joked, I would be the person to help her if she needed help. Walk her if she needed help walking, get her pills if she was in pain or whatever. Anyway, and yeah, so she would take us to the movies and stuff if she did have her car. Like I said, she barely had her car ever until we moved from the first, like after sixth grade. I lived in Hartford up until sixth grade. Then sixth grade, I moved to East Hartford. So once we moved to East Hartford, my dad wasn't here. So, you know, my mom had her car and stuff. But yeah, my mom was like really goofy. We joked a lot. But like we were really close. So like when it came to like college, she didn't want me going out of state to college. I wanted to go to Howard, and she was just like no. And so I went to UConn, and even when I was at UConn, I had to go to some summer program. When I was at the summer program, I came home every single weekend, and then when like school actually started, I came home every single weekend too. So I think I spent like a total of like 10 weekends at UConn in total from my whole time being there, which is like crazy. I don't know. I don't regret it, but yeah. So, and then I think I lived with my mom up until I was like 19 or 20. And then I moved in with my sister and my boyfriend. My mom didn't want me to move out, but like it just got to the point where like I kind of had to. So, yeah, I moved with my boyfriend, my ex-boyfriend and my sister. And, yeah, so because I was in like an unhealthy relationship that she saw was unhealthy before I could see was unhealthy. Well, I knew it was unhealthy, but like before she saw like the true, like him, before I did, I was like barely home. So like I think it was like kind of like upsetting her because she could see what I couldn't see, and she was trying to tell me to. But like, you know, I was stupid. I was young and in love, and yeah, so I was here less. And yeah, but I'm gonna move on to like when she got sick. So like I said, I just turned 21. She did my hair for my 21st birthday. And so basically my birthday is August 12th. So the timeline, I'm kind of really unsure of, but I'm going to do the best I can with the timeline. So my birthday is August 12th. She did my hair on August 11th, I believe. She texted me happy birthday on August 12th. She told me not to take out my own hair because it was a hairstyle that I would like cut my own hair. I ended up being impatient. I'm very impatient. Well, I was very impatient. I would say that I am very patient now, or like not very patient, but I'm pretty patient. So I was impatient. I took out my own hair. I texted her. I cut out my hair. She said, I told you to wait for me. I said, I know. I didn't wait for you. She was upset. But anyway, moving forward. Around this time, she had brought me and my sister dinner. And on the styrofoam containers or whatever, she had put our nicknames. She had nicknames for all me and my siblings except for my little sister Jaya, poor Jaya. But she called my older sister Naya, she called her Bodacia. Why? I don't know, like that's just totally so random. But me, she called me Jonacia for a little bit. But what she really called me was Johnny. I don't know why she called me Johnny, but she did. She said that she thought it was a cute name for a girl, and I called her name was Ayana. I called her mommy until I was like, I don't know, like high school maybe. And then high school I called her mom, but I called her mom for jokes because like I never called her mom before. But I called her momsta. I called her a bunch of things. Becky. Why? Like I just like calling her names that weren't hers. And then like but what I really called her was Yanni. Yanni was her nickname. I don't know, like people just didn't understand our relationships. Like my aunts would be like, why are you, well, my aunt would be like, why are you calling her that? And it's just like, girl. But yeah, this is what this chain says. It says Yanni on it. Yeah, we were just really close. I would call her my favorite human. I called her that all the time. Like, you know, you're my favorite human. Like she was literally my favorite human. But yeah, so she did my hair. I texted her. She texted me back. She brought the food, and then like, there was a day where I didn't feel like cooking, so I texted her. I was like, what are you making for dinner? And she didn't respond, which is not like her. So I texted my sibling and I was just like, why didn't she respond to me? And then they were like, oh, she has COVID. And I'm just like, what? So then I texted her and I was like, you have COVID? And she was like, no, I don't have COVID. And I'm just like, oh, that's what the twins said. And she was like, I don't have COVID. Mind you, she took a test and she did have COVID. But like I said, she's stubborn. So she starts to not feel well, like actually not feel well. And I texted her and I was like, is this the worst you ever felt? And she said, yeah. And I said, do you feel better? She said, no. I said, this is the worst you ever felt? She said, yeah. So that's what scared me. She ends up going to the hospital, I think at the end of August. At the end of August, when she goes to the hospital, they send her back home with the oxygen tank. I had came here, I put something over my face, and I went inside her room. I gave her a kiss on the head or something. She was sleeping and she was so hot, like so hot. And then she had to go back to the hospital, I think in the beginning of September, because she the oxygen tank wasn't working for her. So she went back to the hospital. So she was in the hospital in September. However, I didn't go to the hospital until October because her whole body was like physically changing. Like she was getting really skinny. It was hard for me to like see her like that. And I don't think she understood that. Like, I know that sounds selfish, but like, it was like the worst thing I've ever experienced, ever seen. So like, I just wasn't used to seeing her like that. And I just couldn't. So I didn't go until October. When I told her I was finally going to come, she was like, finally. And that hurt. It just hurt because it's just like, I know it sounds selfish on my end, but it's just like, I just couldn't. So when I finally went to see her, I was just like really like sad about the whole situation. Because like, I was told she was getting better, but like, it just didn't like seem like it. But like, I still had hope. Like, nothing in me thought that she was going to pass away. So I seen her 2 to 3 times when she was like awake. And then the last time I seen her when she was awake, while she was awake, it was just like upsetting because like she was complaining that the hospital wouldn't change her when she was asking and stuff, but her boyfriend was with her like every day. But like, it was just like kind of like just so frustrating. And then I was like frustrated because I was seeing her like that. And then it was just like she wasn't eating, and I was getting mad that she wasn't eating, but like she couldn't eat because she was in pain. It was just like a whole thing. Then I seen her the last day that she was awake. And what hurt me was her telling me that she felt like she was deteriorating. Like that really broke my heart. But I was just like, you're not, Mom. Like, you're gonna get better. And then but she told me that I was her favorite human, so that's great. So yeah, I think that was like the last thing she said, like I was her favorite human and that she loved me. And then after that day she was sedated, and like I said, that was probably like October, so she was sedated all the way up until November. She passed away November 22nd, 2021, at 10:16 p.m. And my sister told me when I was in the shower, which upset me because like I was in the shower, I had just seen her that day. Mind you, she was sedated when I seen her, but I had whispered, like she just like looked so like sick, and her hands were so like kind of cold, and she was so skinny, and I just whispered to her, and I was just like, it's okay for you to pass away. And that same day she had a heart attack, and yeah, she passed away. But like a few signs that I seen, well, I had a few signs that I seen that like that she was gonna pass away. A month before she passed away, I had like so much death anxiety. One thing about me, I used to have really bad anxiety. I have not had anxiety in so long. At the time, I had so much death anxiety. Like I used to have so much death anxiety about myself. Like as a kid growing up, like if I would think about death, I would just go on a spiral and I would drive myself insane. But like it's not even funny. Like when I say insane, I mean like insane. And so when she, like a month before she told me, or a month before she was sick, like July, I was having so much death anxiety about her. I was just thinking about her passing away, and I was just going, like it would be in the shower and I would be going on a spiral. But like it's not, like I can't explain it to you guys. I would literally be in the shower like like going crazy. I'm not even joking. And I would be like telling God, like, why did you make me like this? Like I am crazy. Like I cannot stop thinking about this. But like it was like driving me crazy. Like I was going insane. And I remember telling her, like I would like get out the shower and then go to my ex and just like cry, and he'd be like, Janae, like it's okay, like it's okay. And then I would like, I texted my mom and she was like, Janae, like I'm fine, like maybe you should come over tomorrow or something, because like I'm okay. And I'm like, okay. And I like went over the next day, but she knew I had anxiety. I always had anxiety though. But yeah, so I had so much death anxiety. Then when she was in the hospital, one of the times she was awake, I was driving from Walmart and I looked in the rearview mirror and there was a lady that looked just like her, and she was driving the same car as my mom. Like it looked just like my mom, like with the hat and everything. And I texted my mom when she passed by me. It obviously, well, I knew it wasn't my mom, but like when she drove past me, she didn't look nothing like my mom. It was so weird. I texted my mom and she was like, no, Johnny, like there's only one me, and I'm that wasn't me. Like she was kind of like under, drugs because of, she was in the hospital. So I'm like, yeah, mom, I know. Like I know it's not you. But yeah, and then the one like real like sign that God gave me was that when I was a kid, I would say like maybe like 4 or 5 or 6 or maybe even 7. I don't know, but I was under the age of 10. So I had a dream that my mom was in a bed and she was in a basement or something like that. I don't know, but she was in a hospital bed and she passed away, and I woke up crying. Like I woke up boohoo crying. And then while she was sedated, I had the same exact dream, and I woke up boohoo crying at 21 years old. And this time I was just asking God like not to do it. I was just like, please God, no, please God, no. And then like as soon as I was done like asking God like no and to like please don't do it, like the whole like dream just like I can't remember the dream verbatim, but I do remember that she was in a bed and that she passed away. Like that's the basis of the dream. I don't remember like the dream in full capacity, but when I had the dream for the second time, I remembered full detail. Even when I woke up, I remember full detail, and I was just like, please God, don't do it. And then after I was done saying that, the dream was like gone out of my head, but all I could remember is that she passed away. And so yeah, fast forward, she passed away, and I honestly didn't think it was gonna happen. Like even at the beginning, my aunts were talking like she was gonna pass, and I was just like, why do they keep acting like you're gonna pass away? And she's like, I don't know. And like I'm like, yeah, me neither. So I know that the microphone probably has moved like I don't know, a couple times. Just ignore. Now we're gonna move on to the grief portion. So after she passed, well, like initially when I was told that she was like passed on, my sister told me when I was in the shower. I don't know, like I was just kind of upset because like I was in so much pain for like all these months, and just like I knew it was coming, I just didn't know when. And so then the fact that I was like, the shower was like the one place I could just like be by myself and enjoy, and she told me I was in the shower, I was just like so upset. Not at her, like just life. Anyway, when she told me, I was just like, okay. Like I said it like so rudely. I was just like, okay. And then I showered on regular. I felt completely regular. I got out the shower. I felt completely regular, and I was on the phone with my ex, and it was like, it's okay to cry. And I was just like, okay. But I didn't cry for like 30 minutes, and then like I cried. But like when I cried, I forced myself to cry because like it just didn't feel real. Like I don't know if you've ever like been in like a traumatic situation. I've been in traumatic situations where like I almost died and stuff like that, but like the fact that I don't know, like it just didn't feel real at all. It just didn't feel real. It was kind of like you know, the first step is like denial. I was in denial, and it just didn't feel real. So like when I cried, I forced myself to cry, and that didn't feel real. I felt like I was faking it. But for the first like few weeks, like, you know, because, you know, she was passed on for a few weeks before the funeral, I kind of just sat in my room. I cried every day. I smoked all day, every day. I listened to music. And I feel like at the time, I was like getting myself cute and making videos, like posting on like Snapchat or like Instagram, because like that was the only way that I could. Getting pretty just like made me forget, kind of, not really forget, because like obviously when I was done making the video I would go back to crying, but like it was just the one thing that made me feel normal, because like I just felt so down. But like at the time my whole life was like in shambles. So I found out I was getting physically cheated on in in August, I think. I found out that I was getting cheated on. Then like November, my car stopped working, I got fired, and then my mom passed away. Like it happened, like I got fired, my car stopped working, my mom passed away, in that order. And it was just like the world, like I just felt like God was against me, the world was against me. I was just mad at the world, and honestly I wanted nothing more but to like pass on. Like that's the best way to say that. I wanted nothing more than to pass on. Like I just didn't care about anything. Like I wasn't going to like do it myself, but I sure didn't care if it was to happen. Like I didn't care if God was to do it himself. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't going to do it because I don't know, I've never like had that mindset to do that myself, but I've had moments where like I just didn't care like what happened. Like I was just over life, honestly. And so I just smoked all day. I cried all day. I didn't do anything. But I barely cried. Like, well, actually, so before the funeral, I barely cried. I'm not going to lie. I was just smoking a lot. I would cry here and there, but I was barely crying. Then I had something happen to my body. So I had a panic attack, but like a panic attack that lasted days. And I don't know if you've ever had a panic attack, but like when people used to say they had panic attacks, I wouldn't think much of it. But like when I say it was the worst pain of my life, it was literally the worst pain of my life. Because my panic attack, like you usually have a panic attack that lasts whatever long and then like it's done. Mine was like, the doctor said that like it was like back to back to back to back to back to back to back. So it just felt like one long big panic attack, and it lasted me 2 days. I couldn't eat. I couldn't, like, it just felt like this is my heart and this is my chest. It felt like my heart was like this, but not just like that. It felt like so fast and so hard. Like it, oh my gosh, it hurt so bad. Like I just could not breathe. I felt like I was having a heart attack. I felt like I was dying. So like I said, I didn't have a car, so I called my uncle. He brought me to the hospital, and then they told me I was having a big panic attack. I couldn't stand, I couldn't sit, I couldn't do anything. Like, whatever I did felt like it just felt so uncomfortable. The only thing that helped was my cousins came over. My cousins, they're like my siblings. We all grew up together. My mom considered them like her bonus children, like, you know. But yeah, so they came over. We played charades or like heads up or whatever. And while we were playing, I couldn't feel it. I think it's because I was like so like not focused on what was happening. And then as soon as the game was over, I felt it again. And I went to go lay back down and I couldn't eat or nothing. Like it was just so bad. And it lasted like 2 days, like 2 full days. And then like in the morning of the third day, I was fine. Like I still had anxiety, but I wasn't having a panic attack, but I still had anxiety. So like it was still hard for me to like smoke, but like I still smoked. Anyway, so yeah, so like what I would say is that, well, actually, hold on. So after that, the funeral happened. At the funeral, my siblings were only 17, so I sat in the middle of them, and I didn't cry. I think I shed maybe like one or two tears at my mom's funeral. My uncle had tapped me and was like, "It's okay." I think it was my aunt actually. Someone tapped me and said, "It's okay for you to cry," and I just looked at them like so like I was just so mad at the world. Like I promise my mindset was a little different. Like I wasn't mad that, I mean I was mad that my mom was gone, but like I'm gonna talk about my mindset in a minute, but I was just mad that people weren't understanding, like I don't know how I felt, I guess. But like it was just like I'm like my mom in the sense where like I wouldn't say, well, I had a lot of pride back then, but also like I don't like crying in front of people. My mom never really cried in front of us, like rarely ever did she. But I'm like the same way. Like she never asked for help or nothing. Like I was like the same way, like so independent, don't need nobody for nothing. If I do need somebody, I'm gonna ask God. I was just like, I don't know. It was just like they weren't understanding. Like this is really not about me. Someone had to be strong, so I chose to, and I just sat in the middle of them to comfort them. And yeah, like at this time, like I was close to God in the sense where like I was talking to him, but like I wasn't as close to him as I am now. But like I had the desire to be closer. I appreciated the pastor who was, you know, preaching and stuff. And my mindset wasn't like everyone else's. Like, I don't know, I was happy because she was so sick. I felt like I was just happy that she was finally in peace. But yeah, so after the funeral, so before the funeral I had the panic attack. After the funeral I started to like, I don't know, I felt like there was always something wrong with me. Like I had a headache that lasted for like a month. Like every single day I would wake up, I would have a headache and it would last me all day. And then when I went to sleep at night, I would pray that it would go away, and it never did. And it just happened for a month. And then one day I woke up, and because when I would initially like wake up, like I wouldn't feel it. And then I would sit up, and then once I was sat up, then I realized that it was still there. It lasted for a month. The doctor, I don't remember what the doctor told me it was. Oh, and then like I was having anxiety. So the doctor actually told me that it was my stress, basically, like because I was barely crying because I felt fine. But that's just because I was not really like talking about it or like not really paying much attention to it. I was just smoking it away. But I was basically told like that your body is going to feel what your mind is feeling, or like your body's gonna feel basically what you're not letting out. So they were just telling me to like express my emotions and stuff, like feel what I'm feeling. And I'm just like, baby, I'm not feeling anything. And they're like, but you are, because your mom just passed away. And I'm like, yeah, but like I can't cry. Like I don't know. Then eventually I forced myself to cry, and once I forced myself to cry, I was like crying every day. So yeah. So one tip I would say is that if you're going through grief, I would make sure that you are talking to someone or expressing your feelings, because if you just keep it all bottled in, and then you will feel fine because you're going to be numb. You're going to be numb from like everything. You might be upset. You might feel alone, but I would say make sure that you're expressing what you feel or expressing what you don't feel, like everything, because your body is going to feel it. And a lot of like, you know, like when you're at peace, mental health is important because mental health can affect your physical health. So sickness is related to bad mental health as well. People get sick because they're not healthy in their mind. So what I would say is that make sure that you're expressing whatever you're feeling or whatever you're not feeling, because your body may feel the impact of what you're not letting out. But as far as me getting closer to God, I would say that he first, before I started once she passed, I really wasn't talking to anyone. So I started to talk to him. But what I would say is that first he changed my mindset, because I feel like her sickness allowed my mindset to be changed anyway, because I saw her suffering. I didn't want her to suffer anymore. So I wanted her to be at peace, and I wanted her to go with God, because I know that would have been better for her than her just laying in a hospital bed sedated. But also I feel like he was changing my mindset, because I feel like I don't feel like humans are selfish in a sense where like we have these bonds with people and we just want them to ourselves. And that's natural. Like, obviously it's natural, especially if it's like your mother, someone you've been with all your life. I've been with her for 21 years, so it's natural to want to be with that person because you love them. However, we have to understand that before we were ever each other's, we were God's. We're all God's children. So God puts us here for a reason. And that's what people don't understand. Like, my mother had a purpose. And honestly, I feel like my mother's purpose was to be a mother. Some people's purposes are to be mothers. And I feel like she was a really good mother and she raised us well. And I think that was her purpose. And I feel like whenever God deems that your purpose is fulfilled, then he takes you home if you do what needs to be done. My mom, she didn't talk to God as much as I feel like she should have. No one really talked to me about like God. I kind of just got closer to him by myself, though. Like I said, I've always believed in God because she would like make us pray for like food and stuff like that. So like I believed in God. I don't really remember her talking much about God, I'm not gonna lie, but I knew that she was trying to get closer to God because like she invited like Jehovah's Witness inside the house, and I didn't know much about like Christianity or nothing like that, but I do remember her telling her like, girl, like that gives like culty vibes, do not let them come back in here. And so like she never did again. So yeah, but I remember like when she was passing away, I was like, have you prayed? And she was like, no. And I was like, you need to pray, like girl, you need to pray. But I also didn't really know much about Christianity. So I didn't know, like, I don't know. I didn't know really much about Christianity at all. Like, I just knew I believed in God. So now I believe that you have to claim Jesus as your Lord and Savior. Though I do believe she believed in Jesus. Though I never really went to church. I went to church like maybe 4 times physically or 5 times physically in my whole entire life. Up to today. Even today. Like, now I go to church online. I watched Pastor Philip Anthony Mitchell with Church 2819 online. He's in Georgia, but yeah, I don't go to physical church, but that's just because I did go to physical church around here, but I just didn't like it. And I don't know any youth churches around, but I feel like Pastor Mitchell, he preaches like words that people need to hear and not like fluff that they want to hear. I also watch Jerry Flowers. I love him as well. But anyway, so I told her to pray. I don't know if she prayed after I told her to pray, but regardless of that, she barely sinned, like, but just naturally. I don't think she was doing it as in like, I'm not gonna sin, but she didn't really curse. The most she would say is like damn or like, ass or something like that. I rarely ever heard her curse. Like, yeah, maybe like 3 times in my whole life. Like, I'm serious. Also, she didn't get drunk. She didn't smoke. She barely went out. She barely had any friends. Like, so like naturally she wasn't sinning. So that's why I was praying on her behalf. So I felt like she went to heaven because I asked God if she was in heaven and he gave me confirmation that she was. But yeah, but like I was saying, we all belong to God, and that's just something that he was like teaching me as time was going on. As bad as it sounds, and honestly, I would say that the situation itself was a negative, the worst thing that I've ever experienced in my life. But a positive out of that, like he gave me a changed mindset, and I had no one else to call on. I had no one else to turn to. Like I said, my whole life was like crumbling. So I turned to him, and because I turned to him, I'm like such a different person than I was then. And honestly, I can say for sure that if she was alive, I would not I would probably not be here. Not to say I would never have got here, but I wouldn't be here now. It took me so long to get to this point because like I said, she passed away in the end of 2021, but like it just took a lot of like I pray now, I read the Bible now, I fast now. I don't think I would have got here as fast as I did. And 3 years doesn't sound fast, but like it's fast compared to what would have been if she was alive, because like I wouldn't be doing this if she was alive, because I wouldn't have had to go through the things I went through to get to God for him to tell me to do this, if that makes sense. And that's why I say everything happens for a reason. I'm not saying she passed away so that this could happen, but like I do feel like if she was still here, this wouldn't be happening. So yeah. Also, when it comes to me getting closer to God, I was grieving and I told God that I wanted to get more into the Bible. I didn't believe in the Bible. I just felt like there's no way humans wrote this and like this is like real. But I wanted to get more into the Bible because at this point, after she passed, so many Christian videos and like faith videos were popping up on my TikTok. And so I went to Walmart one day and two ladies stopped me. Their names were Karen and Zykara. I think that's her name. They stopped me and they asked me about the Bible. They asked me about Bible study, and it was so weird because I had just asked God about Bible study in the Bible. And I took their numbers down and I actually did Bible study with them a few times on Zoom, and they were so nice. After we did Bible study and stuff, we did it a few times, but I didn't start doing Bible studies myself until like 2 years after or something like that. So it's not to say that when you encounter people of God or whatever that you're just going to automatically change, but God puts people in your path to plant the seed, and I felt like he put them in my path to plant the seed because I was just talking about the Bible, and then we did Bible study. And then who would have known that Janae would have done Bible study by herself 2 years later? And I do Bible study like every day now. But that's just to say 3 years or 2 years ago, I didn't believe in the Bible. And now I'm doing Bible study every day. So I just feel like God, like everything happens for a reason. Life isn't happening to you, but for you. And everything affects everything. So yeah. I would say that that situation drew me closer to God because I had no one else to turn to but God. And I was so depressed after she passed away. Like, I remember telling her before she passed that I would like commit, to say the least. And then she was like, no, you wouldn't. Like, you would live on. And I'm like, okay. And then like after she passed away, I just felt like I wanted nothing more but to go with her. But I was just so broken, and I would say that the situation made me so much stronger. I had to go through the things I had to go through to get to the point I am today, and God definitely helped me. I literally put everything in his hands and he restored everything that I had. After that, I got a new car. I found more peace within myself through God. I got into a new relationship, but I don't have that car anymore. I'm not in that relationship anymore. And it's not to say that like, I'm not like mad about it. Like, it had to happen. Like, that had to happen too. But I'm just saying that he restored me after I lost everything. And what he restored me with was better than what I had, though it wasn't like perfect. And now I feel like I've lost everything again right now. But I feel like it's going to be restored better than what I had lost. Every single time he's taken away everything I had, he restored it with better. So, yeah. But yeah, it allowed me to turn to him and fully put my trust in him, and he has healed me. Like, every single thing I've gone through has literally transformed me into who I am today. And like, the closer I got with him, the more at peace I am. And I am so at peace now. I'm not saying that like my mental health is perfect all the time, but like in its entirety, I would say that I'm at peace. And I never knew peace back then, but like I know peace now. And it's all thanks to God. Like, honestly. And I just say, like, if you don't know God, or like if you like kind of have a relationship with God, I promise you, like, if you give everything to him, not only will he restore you with better, this is not about just receiving from God, but like he will really like do a whole 180, not just like in your life physically, but like it within. Like, when I tell you I am such a different person than who I used to be, I am not perfect by any means, but I am definitely better than who I used to be. And I would not go back to who I used to be for anything. I'm talking mindset, attitude, spiritually, physically. I take care of my body better. Like, I just look different. Like, I just look at myself then and I look like I was like in such pain. Like I just, my skin was so dry and scaly. Like, I was so skinny. Like, I'm still small, but like I feel like I have like a little bit of more weight on me. I just feel like everything is better now, not that I have God. So yeah, if you don't know him, if you do know him, I would say to turn to him and give him everything, and he will give it back to you better. If you're grieving, turn to God. At least just give him a chance. Even if you don't believe in him, even if you don't know if anything's going to come from it, I would say just like, what do you have to lose? Like, just give it a chance. If you're grieving, allow your body to feel, allow yourself to release anything you're feeling. With that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode for what it was worth. I hope that you enjoyed it as much as you could enjoy it. I know it wasn't like the happiest episode, but with that being said, I hope everyone watching has a blessed rest of their day, and in Jesus' name I say amen.